Hey, how you going? I'm Ryan. This is Ryan's Music Talk, and I'm back after a bit of a break while I moved and whatnot. Before I get started today, I just want to say a quick thanks to my best mate Josh Hamill for putting together my new intro music. Um, yeah, thanks Josh. Awesome job. So today I'm going to be ranking the 7 studio albums of Escape the Fate. Now, when I was getting ready for this, the one thing that really stood out to me was how consistent they've actually been across their career, despite the fact that there's been numerous lineup changes to the point where the drummer is the only original member left in the band. Um, I got into them way back when in high school from the first album. I've been a fan pretty much all the way through. With that said, let's get into it. Number 7, I Am Human. This was their 6th album released in March 2018. And while they've been consistent across their career, I feel like this album was not consistent. Really, it sort of jumps all over the place. It feels like it doesn't really know what it wants to be. It starts off very pop punk influenced with a bit of metalcore flair in songs like Beautifully Tragic and Four Letter Word. I think the song I'll Make It Up to You sounds like Simple Plan, except with the sort of metalcore guitar solo thrown in. Um, then by the time it gets to about midway point, Do You Love Me sort of goes more in the post-hardcore, metalcore sort of direction. It gets acoustic with If Only at track 8. And then there's a chunk towards the end of the album where it's from track 9 to 11. It's just very metalcore sounding there. Um, Riot is in amongst that, and that's got a bit of the 80s glam mixed with butt rock, mixed with metalcore sort of sound. And then it closes with Let Me Be, which was the same song that closed the album they released previously. And it's one of my absolute least favourite songs they've ever recorded. It's just boring radio rock. Number 6, Chemical Warfare. This was their 7th and to date most recent album. It was released in April 2021. I don't think the highs of this album are actually as good as the highs on Am I Human, but I think overall it's a much more consistent album. It knows what it wants to be, really. For the most part, it's like a metalcore butt rock sort of album. It shows that straight out of the gate with the song Lightning Strike. The song Invincible actually sounds very Bring Me the Horizon influenced, like a mashup of their sounds from their That's the Spirit album and their Ammo album, sort of mashed together. It kind of works, but it's yeah. There's quite a few more just straight rock or butt rock sort of songs on the album, like Chemical Warfare, Walk On, Hand Grenade, Not My Problem. They're not bad, but then there's nothing really exciting about them either. Unbreakable's a fun rock song. Burn the Bridges is probably the most metalcore the album gets at any point, I think. While songs like Ashes and Demons are more of that metalcore and butt rock blend. Number 5, we have Hate Me, their 5th album released in October 2015. And this is a much better album than the first 2 that I covered. It's got metalcore bangers in songs like Just a Memory and Les Enfants Terrible. My French is shit, obviously. I Won't Break is another legit post-hardcore banger. Remember Every Scar is another not standout song, but decent song in that sort of post-hardcore sort of sound. It's got a couple songs that I feel almost cross into the industrial rock sort of sound in Live for Today and Hate Me. They're a lot of fun actually. But like I Am Human, it closes with Let Me Be. Just again, utter boring shit. Number 4, This War Is Ours, their 2nd album released in October 2008. This was the first album to feature Craig Mabbitt on vocals, and he's been there ever since. It's it's a fun nostalgic album for me. I remember this came out towards the end of high school for me. I was already a fan coming off the first album. Wasn't sure how they were going to be with a new vocalist. Um, Pretty pleasantly surprised, to be honest. But we won't back down. On to the next one. It got sort of a light metalcore sound, but they're really fun songs. Um, some more sort of emo, post-hardcore stuff with almost a bit of pop punk influence on songs like Ashley, Something, You Are So Beautiful. Again, all good, fun songs, really. Also, drift more metalcore with songs like The Flood and 10 Miles Wide and that absolute ripping title track, Guillotine 2, This War Is Ours. Fucking great song. By far the best song on the album. Um, the closer, it's just me. It's fucking super weird. I don't even really know how to describe it, but it's fun as shit. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that song. Number three, Ungrateful. This was their fourth album released in May 2013, and it could possibly be their heaviest album as well. And it hits you straight in the face with the opening track being the title track, Ungrateful, might be the heaviest on the album overall. But there's plenty more great. It's a very metalcore album. Lots of great metalcore tracks right throughout it. Live Fast, Die Beautiful, Forget About Me, another really, really good, underrated song, I think. One for the Money, and You're Insane. And You're Insane, another one of my favourites off the album. I also feel like it's got it's almost a Slipknot sounding riff right through the song. Really, really cool. Um, there's a couple of more straight rock songs on it as well. Picture Perfect and Risk It All. But yeah, just a solid, very consistent start to finish album. Really, really good. Number two, Dying Is Your Latest Fashion. Their first album released in 2006. This is the Ronnie Radke album. I get that Ronnie's a very polarizing figure, but I'm a big fan. Always have been ever since back here, really. I and to this day, I think his vocals on this album are still some of the best he's done in his entire career. It's a very emo, post-hardcore album, very much of the times that it was released. It's got the emo classics like Situations and Not Good Enough for Truth and Cliche, although the latter, I think, is probably the weakest song on the album. Um, the Guillotine, There's No Sympathy for the Dead, My Apocalypse, probably the most metalcore the album gets. Real bangers though. There's some great deeper cuts like When I Go Out, I Want to Go Out on a Chariot of Fire, and Friends and Alibis. And The Day I Left the Womb, the closing track, it's quite an impactful acoustic number, really. Um, yeah, I've always loved this album. Number one, the self-titled album, Escape the Fate. Their third album, released in November 2010. It's, if Ungrateful wasn't their heaviest album, this was. It's just incredibly consistent from start to finish. This album doesn't really have any weak points. It's just plenty of metalcore bangers, Massacre, Issues, Day of Reckoning, Prepare Your Weapon, Aftermath, Guillotine 3. Some post-hardcore sort of sounding songs with Gorgeous Nightmare, Lost in Darkness. World Around Me is probably the best sort of ballad sounding song they've ever done. It's just a really consistent start to finish album. Yeah, I didn't really know where any of these albums were going to fall on the list when I came into this. I hadn't really ever thought about what their best and worst were. Um, but after going through them all a couple of times, it was pretty obvious to me that I thought this was their best. Just the consistency of it is really, really, really impressive, and it's a thoroughly enjoyable album. Right, now I'll do my top 10 songs. Starting with number 10, obviously, Massacre from Escape the Fate. Number 9, I've got It's Just Me of This War Is Ours. Number 8, Just a Memory of Hate Me. Number 7, The Guillotine of Dying in Latest Fashion. Number 6, Day of Reckoning of Escape the Fate. Number 5, This War Is Ours, Guillotine 2 of This War Is Ours. Number 4, You're Insane of Ungrateful. Number 3, Lost in Darkness of Escape the Fate. Number 2, Forget About Me. Again, I think it's a really, really underrated song of Ungrateful. And number 1, My Apocalypse of Dying is Your Latest Fashion. So there's my lists. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave in the comments your rankings, lists, whatever. Give me your top album, give me your top song, whatever. I'd love to hear whatever it is you've got to say. So I think that's everything, and I'll see you next time.